These are the end islands in my long-term survival world. You'll notice, however, that I very deliberately not explored them with anything but my eyes, save for this very narrow stretch that I have going about 6,000 blocks this way, but I very deliberately explored my end in a way that minimized the number of chunks loaded, and I really recommend that you do the same. Sure, you need to get your hands on an elytra and a shulker box, and maybe some diamond stuff from the end cities too, but after that point, I really recommend that you stop exploring, and here are the 3 obvious reasons why. One is the fact that obviously you don't need to. I mean, you do need more chorus fruit. I would say you definitely don't. By the way, hello my BX Toy Cat, and I don't think chorus fruit is a good enough reason to explore your end. The second is the fact that every single new chunk you add, if I fly here right now, just for this point, I've loaded up a whole new chunk in my world that adds 0.05 megabytes to the world size, which doesn't sound too bad till you explore another and another and another dozen, and you start to really rack up your file size. This isn't a big deal if you're playing on PC and you have a big hard drive size, but if you're playing the Bedrock edition, including, by the way, Minecraft for Windows, then the more file size you add to your world is going to mean longer load times, but also it's going to mean more unstable worlds. The bigger and bigger your world gets, the more likely something is to break. It's happened to me once at 1,000 megabytes, and it can happen much more depending on how big your world size gets, so really be cautious of exploring unnecessary chunks just for the fun of it. I mean, is there even any fun to be had? As I mentioned in point 1, no there's not, but the third point is perhaps the most important, because I do believe there is going to be some form of update that will make you feel silly for exploring your chunks and only finding these right now. What do I mean by that? Well, thank you for asking. Minecraft will 100% receive an end update, and by that I'm not trying to say I have predictive powers, I just mean that of course at some point they're going to come back and update the end, even if it's 5 years from now or 10 years from now, but I don't imagine it will be anywhere near that long. I think we'll be seeing an end update much sooner than that, but we will see an end update at some point, guaranteed. And as we've seen with previous updates, which changed the terrain, which we've seen quite a few of, they've changed the oceans, they've changed the swamps, they've even changed, for the most fair one-to-one comparison, the Nether, and let me show you what the Nether looks like if you'd already explored a lot of it, like, I'll be honest, I totally had. By the way, we've heard something really interesting from developers about what will happen in the future, but right now, and indeed in the past, what would happen is you'd explore your Nether as it existed at the time. So in the case of my Nether, it was just all Nether wastes, as you'd call it by today's standards. It's just all Nether and Nether and Nether. I'm quite lucky because I loaded this up in the console Nether where there was 2 biomes. Ooh, there was a whole soul sand thing with Nether what's going on, but it was just Netherrack and soul sand, and that was the entirety of my Nether. It went on like this for, oh my god, they came from the sky. But it went on like this for literally hundreds of blocks. And because I kept exploring it, I think I was looking for Nether quartz, or I was just mining up some soul sand, but I kept on exploring my end, making these lovely bridges through it, and it meant that I have so much of my Nether which is kind of bland by modern standards. I mean, what should a Nether look like? Well, it should look like what it does in my Nether, where I actually find new chunks, where, ooh, what's that? We got these red forests where we've actually got trees and lights and new mobs that produce things. Ooh, that's exciting. Oh, there's soul sand valleys. Okay, that's terrible. We can ignore those. But we have basalt deltas and bastions, and it's just incredible how much better the Nether is now in the new generation. However, because I explored so many hundreds of blocks of this old boring generation, I have to go so far to get out to this. For real, this bastion, which contains my frogs and my magma cubes and even some piglins I used for trading to get a netherite hoe once, this bastion is 600 blocks away from my spawn. It's so far I had to make one of these blue ice roads, and you know, the fact that blue ice works in the Nether is a miracle. At any point you feel like that could stop working. It's so hot you can't place down water, but it's not so hot that ice melts. We don't question it, we just accept the benefits. But yeah, the fact that you know, the fact that I had to go 500 blocks and I had to make one of these pathways just because of how I planned my Nether is something I want to, you know, I regret, and it's something I want to change when it comes to my end. So what happens if you explore your end islands right now? Your end will look like my Nether, where to find anything that comes out in a future update, you'll have to travel hundreds of blocks, and when that future update makes the existing update look terrible, again, the previous Nether, let me show you again on screen, and then let me show you the current Nether. Look how beautiful this is. I actually had a second bastion not that far from this one, but you know how it is. Sometimes you want to destroy these things. I did it by hand. It took 14 hours, and you can watch the entire thing in one 14-hour YouTube video, which apparently caused 4 people to unsubscribe from the channel. So, you know what? If there's any greater endorsement than this caused people to unsubscribe, I don't know what there is. But yeah, long story short, this is a really cool part of the Nether, and it's a shame I have to travel so far and, go through so much effort to get to it, which is why, for your end, you've got 3 options. Option number 1 is go really extreme on the do not explore angle, which is where you deliberately never go to your end. You might not even want to explore a stronghold, because what's the point if you're not going to use that beautiful portal? And so this is a very extreme way to guarantee that when any end update comes out, as it might be doing somewhat soon, you will be able to benefit from a full brand new dimension. You could also pretend and benefit this way if you just delete your end in the game files, but I try to recommend the game as it's vanilla played. So your second option is just to say, what do I care? I'm just going to explore it now, and then I'll explore anything I haven't explored later, and it will appear in as the new generation. If the overworld updates are anything to go by, where you see the weirdest things happen to woodland mansions or to other terrain as it meets the new generation, this is going to cause some weird things to happen, which I personally see as a positive, but it's also going to mean when that end update comes out, you're not going to know where to explore. You're just going to have to look around and hope that things come in. The third option is kind of taking a reasonable middle ground and saying, sure, the main end island is so iconic that, it might be revamped in some way, but realistically, you need to kill the dragon, you need to go get elytras and shulkers, and so saying you're going to go to your main end, the one in the center, and then you're going to go to a couple of end cities, you're going to keep going till you find one with a ship, and then that's it. You're going to have a very clear, narrowly defined radius of exploration, and this strategy is basically saying, I'm going to use my end the minimum that I need to, so that when there is an update, it will be all around me everywhere. We have seen interesting signs that hint they do want to change how it works even better to make sure that you can explore your existing worlds without feeling like you're, almost ruining something that you're saving. There's a really interesting thing there, but it's also really interesting that on the Java edition, the end is actually defined as a whole bunch of different biomes. Did you know that? I didn't know that. There is the end Midlands, the end Highlands, the end Barrens, and the small end islands, and lest we forget the End, which is incredibly creative named. That was the original End biome, which it used to be the entire dimension, and the other 4 biomes were added after 1.9. On the Bedrock edition of the game, the End biome was all added at the same time, and the entire dimension consists of just that one biome. So, in reality, there's no functional differences, but technically speaking, there are 5 separate biomes on the Java edition. The End cities and the End gateways can only generate in the Highlands and the Midlands, which basically explains size. The Barrens are meant to be the edges of those main islands, and the small end islands are those tiny things you see just kind of flying around, like even in the intro of this video, and so that is the explanation behind end biomes. It's interesting that they do have biomes right now, but it really feels like they don't. I could speculate forever on what they'd add in an end update. It wouldn't be cool if there were ores that could be found in some of these. Wouldn't it be interesting if there were different structures or something to do with the caves where you could actually start mining through these and find anything but endless endstone? Although now that I've said it out loud, endless endstone. No, wait, yeah, no, it's endless right now. It needs to be ending. It has to have an end, or it's not end stone. Okay, this is the dumbest point. No, I'm going to finish now by talking about the interesting change they might be making, because their goal is to make it so you can explore your existing worlds. We've had direct confirmation from Mojang time and time again that they want to fix this problem, even going as far in the 1.18 update as making the smoothing between old chunks and new chunks better, and also making it so fewer chunks would be saved. Previously, this was done by using your render distance to work out which chunks you'd seen, and therefore which chunks you'd want to stay the same, but after that update, they made it so your simulation distance was used instead, and so any chunks which had been simulated or altered in any way, those would be the ones that would actually be saved to your file, and therefore wouldn't be changed by some future update. Now, the goal, and the future goal, is to make it so even just block by block, the game could work it out. If you've only been halfway into a chunk, why should the rest be saved? And so this is an interesting way of doing things. Another interesting idea is making it so only chunks you actually interact with, i.e. break a block in, place a block, kill a mob, something has changed about that chunk from what it would generate from the seed, only then would it save to the disk. This would have the secondary benefit of making your world sizes much smaller, which would then make exploration a lot better on multiple levels, and I think it's a really smart idea for Minecraft. I think there's a lot of really smart ideas for Minecraft, such as, making mining in the end worthwhile, such as adding some new end biomes there, such as maybe some extra mobs mobs or structures, but those are all things that we're gonna have to find out when we find them out. I think whenever they're ready to get their teeth into a big update, that's when the end update's coming out, and we know that an end update is gonna be a preface to any new dimension, but those are all just fun things that I wanted to share with you, and I wanted to also put the PSA out that yes, exploring your end islands just for fun, just for quirkiness, is something you really shouldn't do on a long-term survival world, because long-term survival world management is really important. It's something I cover a lot on this channel, and I hope that you all enjoy this video where I showed you a bit of my world. By the way, if you like my world and you want to see my weird 6,000 block long end road with random signs for people who were kind benefactors of it, then you can see this and everything else that my Let's Play has to offer. It's currently on the marketplace, and it just had or is about to receive an update, because I do update it every few months to add in the things that have been added here. It is a free set of updates you get once you buy the map once. You get updates forever, and you can see what's going on in my Let's Play world in person on any Bedrock platform, which I think is a really cool little benefit, in my opinion. And that's why I'm advertising it to you right now. Go buy it. Use your fictional Minecraft coins that obfuscate the fact that you're using real money, some of which goes to me, which is why I'm telling you about it.